Welcome again to our Travel Talk Show, episode 6, Colin.
That it is at day 70 of self-isolation.
Self-hibernation, self-isolation. And again, what we're doing is we're broadcasting here live, and we meet every Tuesday at 7 p.m. PST. Really interesting is we're broadcasting from self-isolation. We're practicing physical distancing from our base camp here in somewhere British Columbia, Canada, from our hidden base camp location. Colin, we've been spending this huge budget on our show, right? I mean, we go all out, multi-billion-dollar budget on the production.
It's obvious.
Yeah. Well, I did is we've talked, me and you, we've been rallying the producer, to get some special effects and stuff, right?
Yes.
So they finally gave in. So here's our special effects right now is, there we go. That's our special effects. So what we would like people to do is this is an interactive show, and we'd like you to comment below. And when you do comment below, then we get it on our screen. So the question we're going to do and start with today, as always, is we'd like to know where you're from. So my name is, if you don't know, my name is Greg Gerard. I am the co-host with my brother, who will follow up with his intro of the Travel Talk Show. I'm a co-founder of ehCanadaTravel.com. Top of your screen, you'll see that web address. That's my brother and I's heart and soul, our company. I enjoy public speaking, passionate about it. And I also am a tourism and community consultant, big advocate for small and rural tourism. So again, let me introduce my brother, and there you go. Call, shout it out, man.
I am Colin Gerard, the co-host of this fabulous show and co-owner of ehCanadaTravel.com. I am more of the back-end tech department, but I am definitely the better-looking brother.
You had to fit that in, did you?
Oh, that's obvious too, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, that hurt. I'm actually wounded. That hurt. So we got a couple people. We got some from Merida. Somebody just up the road where we grew up in Comox. Nice to see you, Cliff. Thanks for tuning in. Loving having you here. We have Yano Howarth, who's also from the Nickel Valley and is part of the Experience Nickel Valley program. Call, you ever heard of it?
I have, and I hear it's doing very well.
It's doing phenomenal, and it's thanks to people like Yano. So Yano,
Yes.
Yano here is making a special comment. She's really liking the big budget and our special effects. So
Yes,
she's really throwing it out there. And again, we have some more people here from British Columbia and Saskatchewan. And there's Mr. Randy Olawa. He's joining us from Ucluelet, BC. Mr. Olawa, love having you on board. Thank you for making the time and effort. And again, we go all out on our special effects here at this show. We are a big budget. And where you are from, let us know, comment below. And again, next time we might even have this in color. So if you tune in next time, call, we might even have that, the color, and go all out on that. So today, what we do, as we always do, is we're going to go over our agenda. And the agenda is where we give you an outline of all the hot topics of the day and what we're going to talk about tonight. So, of course, we start off with This Week in Tourism. If you're a regular viewer, and for all you newbies out there, This Week in Tourism, as we discuss some of the facts, figures, trends, and tips that we see and talk to online. I guess if there is some sort of benefit with self-isolation is that we are partnering up and talking with a lot of people from around the world in the tourism industry through webinars, fireside chats, interview programs, Zoom. I've probably connected with more people around this world in this last 70 days of isolation than I have in a long time. So there is some positive learning a lot and making some good contacts. Second, Colin, we have a special guest today. Lynda Pianosi is here with us. Lynda is going to be a great guest. She's got a lot of stuff to share with us. So she is a Canadian book publisher. Colin, she wrote that book that we read, Take a Hike with Your Children. I remember when Lynda was nice enough to send us a copy. She's the owner of 3 Mountain Family Hikes, and she's also a well-respected, certified hiking tour guide. So Lynda is going to bring a lot of information from the tour guide, book publishing side of the tourism industry. I'm excited to hear what she has to say, and
Yes.
we'll talk to her in a very short period of time. Third, Colin, you know what? Shameless plugs. The producer's saying special effects time again. Make sure where you are from, comment below. Next time, tune in and we'll put it in color because, you know, our budget is unlimited.
That's
We've
exciting.
got Colleen here. Colleen's coming into town. She's joining us. Colleen is from Calgary, the cow town. Yeah, welcome to the show, Colleen. Glad to have you here. And we did it, Col. We hit the other side of the country. Thank you very much to PEI Travel Concierge Services from PEI is joining us.
Welcome.
Hello, PEI. And a special hello to Murray Harbor, Call.
Beautiful province. We lived there. We loved it.
Yeah. Murray Harbor was a popular little place for us, right?
Oh, it was. I mean, placed right on the ocean, and it was amazing. And the red sand beaches, and I mean, as far as I understand, the warmest ocean waters north of California or something like that.
You're just showing off.
Well, I remember my stats.
There you go. Wow. And then what do we finish the show with? We finish it with the isolation vacation. We got it. See, we'll put that in the sound effects.
Yes.
So the isolation vacation is somewhere in Canada. Me and Colin are passionate about some place we hiked, biked, canoed, swam, anything of that sort. Something that left a lasting impression with us. And you have to wait till the end of the show to see it, because then you find out what sort of makes Colin and I tweak a bit on that. Right? So how do we do that? What's that called?
Adventure makes us tick.
Yes, it does. I like that. So again, we'd like to welcome everybody here from the ehTravel Talk Show, all the way from Comox, British Columbia to PEI. And what we're going to do, just to remind you all, this is not a one-off. We're not like other, you know what, associations where they decide to put out their surveys and send you a nice CEO letter. We come to the bat. We're going to share what we know, what we see, and what we've learned through our discussions, through webinars, through our contacts, our partnerships, through conversations that we have with a lot of big stakeholders around the world. And we're going to share that with you. And if anything, we can save one business, Colin, because again, we leave no small business behind. Right?
You betcha.
Okay.
Anything we can do to help.
Yes.
We're in.
Yes, I agree. We have May here tuning in. How you doing, May? Thanks for joining us on the ehTravel Talk Show. Love having you here. May is also from Merritt, British Columbia. Nice to see you, May. So again, what we're going to talk about today, Call, This Week in Tourism. Now, in the past weeks, we've come out with and shared some of the statistics we're finding that is not really readily available on the internet, and you're definitely not going to hear it on the press or through the media. We're trying to find that stuff that is going to help your business, and we're going to be upfront with you. We're going to let you know stats. They might not be what we want to hear, but again, it's better to face reality face on instead of walking in the shadows blind. I mean, let's get the facts out. Let's figure out what we're dealing with, and let's attack. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Offense. Take offense to this COVID.
Yes. So there's one thing that's pretty obvious with all our discussions with everybody that we're communicating with, is that from a tourism perspective, Colin, we pretty much all agree on one thing. Recovery is going to be slow. It's going to be painful, and it's going to be gradual. Okay, this is pretty much what we're looking at. And one of the things so what are we supposed to do? So first, I think the most important part of this is we're going to break it up into 3 areas. We're going to break it up. First area, we're going to look at the industry itself. So all the white papers we've been reading, all the news clips we've been reading, and the conversations, and of course the scripts from webinars and so forth. I think the first thing we need to look at are some of the trends that the industry and people are pretty much coming to the conclusion we're going to do. One is, how is the industry going to open up, right? So it's pretty obvious that it's going to open up in segments. One, I think first and foremost, it's going to be staycations within 200 kilometers of your hometown. We're going to experiment with that. That's probably going to be the first industry that's going to open up. And then we're saying that provincial and territory travel will probably be the second phase. So we got provincial and territorial. With if you live in BC, you'll stay within BC. You'll experiment a little farther out, and then through Alberta. The next one is interprovincial. That's where we're feeling a little bit more comfortable. We can go out and we can go from BC to Manitoba, and we can do that sort of travel. Here's the tough one: international travel. The international travel, the reason why it's so contentious is that it is the big revenue generator. Okay. It's a huge market, more than it is with our domestic travel. Plus, the average spend of an international travel can go anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 per trip. When you look at a staycation, you're looking $3,000, $5,000, maybe $1,000. So that's why international travel has such a big bearing. But here's the key with international travel. How long is it going to take? Because there's so many punches and pushes and pulls in that area. One is which countries are going to open up, because COVID's not all going to be clean at exactly the same time. Two, what are we, how comfortable are we going to be getting on a plane? And three, like, what are the planes going to do in order for us to board them? What are we going to have to go through? How are they going to arrange that? Let's face it, if you're going to seat us 2 meters apart every time, no plane company is going to make any money.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things there. And is it going to be 1 year, 2 year? We all know 3 months, 4 months of the summer pays for 12 months of bills in our industry. But is it going to be 1 year or 2 year before we get to a respectable level? Now, I'm saying respectable because what happens is it's not going to be like it was. What do you think, Cole?
I think the big question is the U.S. border. And it's going to be a big stage before the airlines and international travel gets in. And that's going to be a big tell for what happens in the future.
Yep, exactly. So the
There's
industry,
a lot going down.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
There's
the
a lot
industry,
going on down there.
There's a ton going down in the States and how they're going to open that up too. And plus, there's BC and Ontario are saying they don't want it to open up right now. So, I mean, everyone's working on a different set of rules. The one thing I think it's important is the industry is going to come out in phases, and yet we don't know how big those phases are going to be or how long they're going to be, or even if we are going to have a summer season. Because if I see any more pictures of people on Kitts Beach on last weekend where they're rubbing shoulders and they're not physical distancing, I'm not feeling a lot of confidence here about our summer season. I'm not going to be, I won't want to pull strings here, but I mean, we got to be smarter so we can all go out and play, because I'm itching to play, but I'm not going to go jeopardize the whole system because of my self-satisfaction that I need to sit on a beach, right? I mean, we got to be smart. So the
everybody's
second part,
got to buy in.
Yeah, everyone's got to buy in.
Everybody's got to buy in for this to work as quickly as possible.
Yeah. The second factor is the industry's first, second is the traveler. Here's the questions we don't know. We all know one thing: traveler habits are going to change. We don't know exactly how, but they're going to change. How they search, where they go, how they spend their money when they go, how they interact with the locals, all of that is changed. There's a whole new habit system coming into place. Now, two is what trends are going to form. We had the trends before where Banff was a big destination, or Toronto or Vancouver. I mean, is that going to stay the same, or are we going to start to see population 300 Knights Point, Newfoundland becoming a top destination because there's all this space and there's no crowds, and you can go on a trail and not run into anyone. You can go kayaking and the only thing you'll see are whales or sea lions or whatever. The whole point is we don't know exactly what the trends are going to be. And another, I think the last one, Cole, is how much money are we going to have left at the end of COVID?
Yes.
Who's going to have money to do these big vacations, and who's going to have money to feel confident to go and travel and for far away places? So there's all these different factors, right? So here's what I'm thinking. I bet I'm going to give you a little bit of a new little thing here. We're going to call it tourism guesstimations. Okay.
Excellent.
These aren't facts. These aren't figures, but we're looking and we're guesstimating because no one really knows how it's all going to pan out. But here's a couple things I think is pretty sure. Internet will be the first battlefield for tourism. People are going to decide where they go, how much they're going to go, how long they're going to go for. They're all going to be on the internet. Internet is where we are going to win or lose that traveler dollar. So that's the new battlefield down the road. It was the battlefield before, but it is going to be a real big battlefield coming down the pipe. The second thing is travelers are going to seek, and I heard this from a few experts, one in the United Kingdom, one in Australia, and one in actually Italy, and they were saying that travelers are going to seek areas with small populations. So the outdoors is going to be more accessible. People are going to go to the outdoors more accessible. They're going to go to the smaller communities that are more accessible. These are some of the things that they're probably going to have to work into that. So what should we do as a small business? Well, here's the deal. If the market is going to stay regional and it's going to be a staycation, then we need to market to that target group. One, everyone's saying, here's the word of COVID in the tourism: pivot, 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 pivot. Everyone's saying we need to pivot. Well, if we're going to pivot on a small and rural community and small and rural tourism basis, the only way you're going to be able to pivot is you've got to grab it by the horns, and take care of your own business. How do you do that? Go out and get some programs where you can self-market. Go out and get some programs where you can get your self-analytics. Go out and get some graphic programs so you can brand and message your own brand. Do not rely on anyone else, particularly in the upper echelon, because they really are in strife right now. They're really having problems, and I don't think we can afford to wait. I think you need to take the initiative by the horns and go and grab it. The other thing too is you need to target provincial markets. So if you want hiking in BC, target that group. If you want kayaking BC, target that group. If you want hiking and PEI, target that group. That's going to be the big money winner for this year, this summer for sure. And I'm still a thing. It's going to take 3 years because we go by summers in this industry, right? And I still think it's 3 summers away because this summer, it's going to be tough. Next summer is the recovery. I'm calling it the recovery summer. The third is getting back to respectability. And that's if nothing else happens.
Yeah, if we can avoid a second wave.
Yeah. So what you need to do and what we suggest, and this is not just us, it's for everyone we know, is get programs that market your community and go for it. And I'm not, I'm a little biased, but we have what's called Experience Community Program. It's exactly what you need to be doing right now while you're in self-isolation. You need to be marketing, you get the training, you get the tools, you get everything you need to do to take control of your own region and take control of your own area. And you can brand, you can target. This is what we need to do, because if we're going to wait for somebody else to come and save you, I mean, it's like every apocalypse movie, right? And you got to look after yourself. No one else is going to do it. So that's how I think we should approach this on an individual basis, right? So Colin, joining us tonight.
Drum roll.
Is Lynda Pianosi, who is here. She is a Canadian book publisher. Okay. She wrote a book. It's got Take a Hike with Your Children. It sold 10,000 copies. It focuses on hiking within the Canmore and the Canadian Rockies area. Lynda is also a certified hiking guide. And some of the places she takes, some of the people she's meet is phenomenal. So I think what we need to do there, Call, is we need to look up Lynda. And I think we should basically invite her onto the show and let her take and wow the crowd from all the way around the world. Let's let her wow them. Let's welcome Lynda to the show.
She'll be wowing me too.
Yep.
I mean, if you got a family with kids.
Yep. Welcome to the show, Lynda.
Hello.
How are you? We love having you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making the time.
Oh, yes. For you guys, always.
So, Lynda, we are pretty stoked on hearing your view on things on the book publishing front, on the tours and the guides. but we are very fortunate. We've known you for some time. We started as clients. I think we're a lot more like friends now.
Absolutely.
I think we have that. We broke that client barrier.
Absolutely.
And I was pretty stoked to have you come on. So I think I want Lynda to tell everyone else how wonderful she is. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with our audience a little background on the why, what, and who is Lynda.
All right. Yeah. So my name is Lynda Pianosi. And thank you, Greg. I know you practiced that last name. It's a hard one, but you got it right. You can see my messy office behind there. All right. You asked me who I am. I'm going to tell you where I live. I live in Canmore, Alberta. I live in the Bow Valley, which consists of Canmore, Banff, Lake Louise. And I tuck up right up against a mountain that's got a really popular hike on it called the East End of Rundle, or Eeyore. It's on Rundle Mountain. And whenever we get bad weather, I lose connectivity. And I think that's what's happening. I'm just looking out my window here and I can see the weather changing. So hopefully I'm still on. I am the author of the book, Take a Hike with Your Children. That picture that's up on the screen there is actually the hike that started my whole idea about writing a book. My youngest on front is 4 months. The little guy on my husband's back is just over 2 years old. I had a mission to go and see the larch trees that weekend. I was not planned. I was ill prepared. As you can see, there's not a lot of extra space for gear for my husband or myself. We just had what the kids needed. And it was one of those moments in a marriage where you kind of look at each other and go, oh my goodness, what have we done? We've just hiked up a mountain with the kids. And that's when I realized that we needed to make I needed to write a hiking book for families that people could look at and say, you know what, these hikes have been created and rated from a child's walking ability, and that's what I've done.
You are a publisher, a writer of the guidebook, as you talked a little bit about Take a Hike with Children. Why don't you share with us a bit, Lynda, about the hiking trail book and why? I know we've taught, but I think everyone should know is what makes it so unique and why is it successful? What makes everything stick out for it?
Well, my book is the first of its kind for family hikes in the Canadian Rockies. I self-published in 2011. And I've learned and grown a whole lot since then about, the whole publishing world. I could write a book on not what to do for publishing. But what was really key to my book is that picture that you see of myself with my husband and my kids, I had looked at a very good book written by an excellent hiking person in this area. But his trail ratings were from an adult's walking perspective. Not an adult carrying 2 young kids, one who wants to get out and walk every now and then, one that wants to get back in, and not from a child's walking perspective or ability. So as my kids got older and were starting to walk more, I started to look at, this is an easy hike for an adult, but from a child's perspective, this might be considered, if you're downhill ski, you've got the blue, green, black runs. This may be more of a blue run for a child for walking. So that's how I wrote this book, and I came up with 3 mountains, 1, 2, and 3. And I live in Canmore. We have the 3 mountain sisters. So guess where that little bit of inspiration came from? And I also created a definition, a walking definition for each of those trail ratings. And that is what has sold my book. And it's not just for families with young kids. It's for grandparents that want to get out with their kids. I was at a book signing at Chapters, 3 or 4 years ago, and I had a gentleman come up to me and he said, you wouldn't know it to look at me, but I bought your book and I've lost 20 pounds and I still have another 20 to go. And he said, I loved it because it was written for children. So if it was written for children, it was going to be easy, and I needed to get out and lose the weight and get healthy. And he said, and I'm so glad you've written this. The other thing I've done with my book is all of the trails are icons. So if it's if the trail's in a mix of sun and shade, if there's a bench there for diaper changes, bottle feeding, snacks. And I had a grandmother approach me one day as well, and she said, "Oh, I have this book." And I said, "You know what I really love about it is I know which trailheads have bathrooms, so I don't have to run into the bush."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's why my book was so successful.
Okay.
And I'm actually approaching 13,000 copies being sold at the end of this summer.
Congrats!
Yeah, there you go. And I think too with my book, like, it's not fancy, it's not colored, it has colored inserts. So it was a really good price point too. It sold for $16, which is something that people just, I'm going to buy it, and it fits in your backpack really easily. The shape and the size is really ideal for that.
Yeah. And where does the area the book covers, just to tell our readers?
46 hikes, Canmore, Kananaskis, Banff, and Lake Louise.
Wow.
And I'll
Prime
tell
area.
you that, oh, thank you, Carrie. My book is wonderful. Thank you very much.
Nice.
We'll put that on screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
As an FYI,
Yeah.
I'm probably jumping the questions here, but now that we're on the book, I'll let you know. The other thing about my book is that I have been on all those trails myself more than once, sometimes summer and winter. And my family, one member of my family has been on them at least with me. And the other thing is I've now been on every 10-kilometer hike and under in all of our Canadian Rocky Mountain parks, Canmore, Banff, Yoho, Kootenay, Banff, Lake Louise. I did all of Waterton, and then 2 months or 2 weeks later, it caught on fire. So I haven't been down for about 3 years.
That's a sad
But I
story.
am. I know I'm jumping here, Greg, because I know you've got this.
That's okay. That's okay. You go where you need to go.
So I'm right now. This COVID self-isolation has forced me to be inside. And I am writing up all those trails, and I'm coming out with 1 or 2 more books.
Nice.
Air pump.
Air pump. There we go.
Right. All right. Okay. So I'm excited about that. And I know when we have you on a future show, because I hope you do come back, we could talk about more about where you're at with that and with other things. But maybe I think, Lynda, I know you're really in touch with a lot of the tours and guides within your region, the Canadian Rockies and Alberta and BC, and you interact with many in the tourism industry. So you take people to some of the most, in my opinion, some of Canada's most beautiful scenery. But then that was pre-COVID. So what changes are you seeing or percepting that you might be seeing because of COVID for post guiding?
Oh, that's Greg, I was listening to you before I came on. It's slow, painful, gradual. 3 key words right there. So I mentioned that I live in Canmore. This is an area called the Bow Valley, Canmore, Banff, Lake Louise. Within a matter of 48 hours, we had an unemployment rate of 85%.
Wow.
And that was tied into the tourism industry. Banff is still not opened up. Doors are closed. I mean, it's a ghost town, other than the elk are finally reclaiming the main street. If you ever went to Banff in the early 80s, it was not uncommon to see the elk walking down the street of Banff. It's like that again, but without the tourists. Canmore is slowly opening up a little bit. I know today my husband actually went and played golf at the Brewster's Golf Course. Okay. He and 2 other people were the only one. Oh, and one big black bear were the only ones on the course. So it's going to be a very slow process. The Banff Springs Hotel, 757 rooms, generally a staff, I think, of around 1,600 people this time of year, shut right down. So, slow, painful, gradual. And the majority of those people that come in, the majority of the people that I guide, in particular when I contract out to one particular organization, I'm going to give a shout out to Bryce. He's the owner of the Company of Adventures, local guy in Calgary, and he has a Rhodes Scholar program. I've done some Rhodes Scholar trips for him. all international tours coming from the States.
Yeah.
Nothing right now.
That's going to be devastating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What about and I don't know if it was me and you, or me and Colin, or me and it was me and someone.
You and someone. It was just you.
Yeah, I got a lot of someones in my life. They were saying that one of the things is a lot of these tour and guiding companies, the staff they hire are also from another country,
Yes.
which now they've left. So now,
Yes.
if it does open up, there's going to be a shortage of people that are going to be able to staff these places.
Well, yeah, particularly the larger organizations. So let's go back to the Banff Springs Hotel, for example. I have a friend whose daughter applied for a job online from Australia and worked for the Springs Hotel 2 years ago. Her brother actually was supposed to be here now doing ground maintenance at the golf course. And of course, his contract got canceled. But I would say, yeah, you're absolutely right, Greg, that the majority of the staff and the people that come in are overseas. So what we see in the Valley is we see the summer crew coming in because they want to be here for the summer. And then when the seasons start to switch, the summer crew moves on. And then we see the winter crew coming in to want to work, either at the ski resorts or at least be here for our amazing ski seasons. It's just, there's the international travel. You talked about planes. I mean, personally, it's going to be a long time before I will feel comfortable getting on a plane and flying anywhere. I don't know. I know I've heard and I've seen things, on the local Facebook groups and in the papers that Banff Lake Louise Tourism, they're really trying to think about, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do to, we've lost a huge amount of money from this valley in that short period of time.
Yeah, it is a very, very, I think we covered it a bit in previous shows. There's so many unknowns that, and there's so many other sectors and other factors that are pulling and tugging and pushing and pushing and pulling. And it all has to come together before we actually figure out what's going to be going on. But it is a tough call because of all these little unanswered, don't know things that we have facing us in this industry. It is going to be challenging. And again, that's why we love bringing people like you on the show, experts on the show, people who are in the industry on the show, because even though we might be talking doom and gloom, I believe we need to know what we're facing. I don't want to go into this blind. I'm telling you that right now. Yeah. And I think it's good to have people like yourself and come and share with us. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes. Yes.
Paper, but here I am, I guess. And certainly, I mean, the information that I've shared with you and the statistics that I've gotten that from reading. So it's not firsthand. But I think, you recognize these tourist destinations that maybe it's time to look at some kind of diversification and not just rely totally on tourism.
Yes. Well, and the thing is maybe not rely on one sector of the market of tourism.
Exactly.
I think I know this for a fact with Colin and I believe we've known each other this long, is that I think we've been talking for quite a long time that one of the things that really irks us in our industry is we put all our eggs in one basket. When the basket breaks, we put all our eggs in another basket. When that one breaks, we put all our eggs. We don't have a plan B, plan C, plan D. We're not targeting primary to secondary to tertiary. We're not taking these markets and breaking them. And it's not just your area, it's everywhere. We put it all in one basket and we go yay, and then we show these great numbers, and then boom.
Well, but this has never happened in the history in our lifetime before ever, right? So I mean, I think on one hand, yes, we've got a lot of eggs in one basket, but this is also opening up a lot of doors for creative thinking and new partnerships. And maybe more collaborative approaches with some stuff instead of everybody, trying to hold on to that little piece of the pie. Let's help
work together.
Let's be a little more collaborative in this effort to try to get us back and going in the industry.
I think one of the things that we should seriously consider, and we don't have the $1 billion budget to do it, but I really think public tourism and private tourism need to start talking and stop trying to make it such a separate issue. And I mean, there's the private entrepreneurs in our industry are brilliant, and they come up with some brilliant ideas. And then I think with the public, they just seem to want to have ownership of the whole industry, and there's no sharing of ideas. I think there's opportunity there. I think there's an opportunity for a lot of good things to come out of this. Yeah. Yeah. So, Lynda, one thing I know about you that's definitely for sure is you are a huge advocate for nature, responsible tourism, the outdoors, the environment. Am I wrong in saying this? And I'm going to test you, but do you believe that nature is probably one of the biggest and best classrooms that every child should experience? And why, if that's correct, why do you think that?
I'm going to talk about my childhood. I grew up before the internet. I grew up at a time when if I went to my parents and said I'm bored, I was not handed an iPad or a phone. And I'm certainly not, I mean, if you know, I've had to do that with my own kids sometimes. You know, you can go and do something, but there wasn't that choice. And so when I said to my mom or dad, I'm bored, I have nothing to do, I was given 3 options. My parents had their own business. I could work in the business and help out, or I could help my mom clean the house. And that was a hard no. So I went outside. I am not a domestic housekeeper. And if I could think of a way to market my dust bunnies, I'd be a millionaire. So I grew up in rural Ontario, a hamlet of about 200 people in farming community. And like I said, I grew up before the internet, and there's a core group of us kids that ranged maybe from 5 to about 13 years old. And we just roamed the countryside. We were very fortunate to have a farmer whose property backed onto our subdivision. And on that property, they had like a small little pond. There was, we used to call it the cliff, but it was a ravine that we could toboggan down, and a woodlot. So our time was spent outside, playing, riding our bikes, figuring stuff out. You know, before we started all this, I shared a story about one time we were riding our bikes home, and we came across a mother raccoon who had been hit by a car, and she was obviously dead. And she was moving her babies from the birthing den to somewhere else. And these 3 little raccoon babies were frantically running around her. So we picked them up, brought them home. My parents owned a gas station, and one of our customers was a veterinarian, and he got us, you know, some formula and told us what we needed to do. So in that process of being outside and being exposed to all that, we also learned about the cycle of life. We learned about the empathy. We learned about how things interconnect within nature. You know, and I think when you have that as a child, and when you grow up with that as a child, when you're exposed to that, you carry that on to you into your adulthood, and you carry all the learnings that you had, you know, physical literacy from riding the bikes, building the forts, trying to figure out how not to get chased by that bull the next time you run through the neighbor's field when you're not supposed to, right? All these things that I think sometimes get handed to children now. And, you know, because I grew up that way, I introduced that to my own boys. You know, they weren't allowed to watch TV for the longest time. You know, they got little bits of it here and there, but, you know, they didn't get a cell phone until they were much older. They had to join me for the hikes for my walk with my book. They still join me. You know, they grumble a bit, but they still join me. So I think that unless you have to be connected to a place, you have to touch, feel, smell, understand it, to appreciate it, and to be an advocate for it and to protect it going forward.
Okay.
You can't learn that in the classroom. You can't learn that in the classroom.
No, I think, wasn't it Ken Coates we had on here? He's the professor for University of Saskatchewan, and he mentioned it too. He says, for the life of him, and he's on that same page, and you guys should actually connect. He was saying that I don't understand how we expect kids or university students or anyone to learn when they're sitting in a classroom and there's bars on the window on the outside, and they're sitting there and they're in a 30 people within a room, no interaction, no correspondence with the outside world. And he, for the life of him, agrees with you, and he's thinking there has to be some programs we introduce where people are experiencing the outdoors, because like my very intelligent brother said, how do you respect anything if you don't go and experience it first?
Exactly. Totally agree with you. I completely agree with you on that. And to that, there are a lot of schools. Let me back this up. Prior to the COVID, there were schools that were offering outdoor education programs to middle school kids, and they would get the opportunity to come out and experience snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, shelter building, and they would sleep in the shelters for the night. I know one of my friends who actually hired me in the guiding industry. She is an outdoor education. She wants to get into be an outdoor education teacher. She just finished her teacher's college. There are forest schools popping up around the cities and centers and communities. And you look at countries like Denmark and Finland, who have been leading edge on forest schools for a very long time. A lot of their classrooms are done, like a lot of the teaching and the learnings are done outside. And it's interesting you say this, because my oldest son has attention deficit disorder, at the inattentive type. And when we were going through the whole process trying to figure out, what was his diagnosis, they finally said, well, it's generally something that's passed on from one parent. Which one of you has it? And I thought, guess what? Because all of the testing, the things that we went through, and the questionnaires, and I noticed that when he in particular is outside in nature and doing something, if he's had a rough day, if he's had a bad day, if it's not good, you get out, you go for that walk, and it just helps so much. And it certainly helps individuals like myself and my son who have attention deficit disorder, but it helps everybody to get out. And I think that having these forest schools, and like I said, Denmark and Finland and places like that, where there's actually outdoor classrooms.
That's so cool.
Nice.
And I know that they're talking about, will school even go back in September? And how's that going to look? Well, we certainly can't have kids sitting in outdoor classrooms in -30 in Calgary, because it gets that bloody cold. But there's areas, there's parts of Canada, there's parts of the world where you could have the outdoor classrooms and still have the social distancing that you need to, if we still have to consider this social distancing going forward.
I totally agree.
It's an interesting idea.
What's that called?
I think it's a fantastic,
it's a very interesting idea. Like I hadn't thought about that, and that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Could you imagine if it was available? I mean, we sort of did that for schooling, but we did it on a self-volunteer level. I mean, we used to always go outside, like Lynda says, right?
Well, that's how we grew up.
We'd stay outside and stay outside and go play until 9 p.m, walk home, no worries in the world. Mom's not worried, nothing. Come home covered in mud, dirt, sweat, all of that stuff. And we sort of had that self-education. And then I look at today and I'm saying, geez, it's a shame, because they're missing out on a big part of life experiences. I mean, let's face it, nature has formed a lot of who we are today. The appreciation and the love of the outdoors and the love of adventure. So I totally agree with you guys on that, right?
Yeah. It's and that's I just see something from Christine here. I took my students outside as much as I could. We'd sit under a tree and go do math. Why not? Fantastic. Nice. And so if I could maybe hijack this a little bit, that's the other thing with my book. Getting families, my tagline is getting families closer to nature one step at a time. And so my book is there to give you the skills and tools that you need, and give you the safe, family-friendly trails so that you can get out there and you can experience that. I know that, not all families can grow up the way that we did. I know that, both parents are working sometimes, and kids get dropped off before school care and after school care. So that it's limited for their after school and outdoor play when they get home. But, on a weekend or maybe on a March break or something, grab a hiking book, grab my hiking book, hit the trail.
Your hiking book.
My hiking book, hit the trails and self-distance, social distance properly, and follow the rules that Alberta Parks and Alberta Health has put out so that we can get to phase 2, 3, and 4 and hopefully not have a second wave.
Yes, totally agree. I mean, the nice thing about the outdoors is it does, in reality, a lot of us were physical distancing before COVID when we went on adventures. How many times have you been up all by yourself and it's peaceful and you got a hawk and you got your camera equipment or your video equipment, you bring your lunch, your sandwiches, your Subway, whatever, and you sit there for hours by yourself.
Yep. You tell me about a trail around here where I could sit by myself for hours and I'll go to
that. Yeah, I think in your area,
it's a very busy.
In your
it's
area,
very busy. But no, there are times that I have been when I thought I've been the only person on the trail. When I've been hiking down, then all of a sudden, you come around the corner and there's a whole group coming up. But it is something to be on top of. Coming over Yoho Pass in Yoho National Park, I've led several hikes over that. I'm sure you guys have done that. You've been on so many hikes yourself. And, I never get sick of going on the same trail. And the reason I never get sick of it is because A, I'm in nature, B, there's always something new depending on the season, and C, it's the joy and experience that I see on my clients' faces or in a child's face when they're seeing something for the first time, even if it's something as small as, a squirrel running down the pathway with a mushroom in its mouth.
Yeah.
There's just so much still to explore and to see and just be grateful for. I never get tired of my job. I don't. My feet don't like me at the end of the day sometimes, but I personally never get tired of my job.
Yeah. And it's, what, and then the other thing that we're trying not to do is the funny thing is that a lot of times with us, because we've been around it a lot, is sometimes you get blinders on and then you go out with groups like yours and that squirrel running around the grass with the peanut is the biggest picture of the day. And they're all there focusing in on it and they love it. And then we look at it and we're going, yeah, okay. We've seen that 100 times, but it doesn't diminish the specialty of the moment.
No. And that's all about that's all about, getting out into the nature with your kids as well, is to create these lifelong moments and have these memories as well. And you don't have to go far to do them. You don't have to climb over Yoho Pass to do it. Sometimes, you just go and find a spot somewhere. And, as Christine said, she had her kids sitting under the tree doing their math. Well, those kids got more out of that session than just math. I can guarantee you that. And Christine can probably speak to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And boy, I'll tell you right now, if I'm when we're traveling from community to community in the Maple Leaf RV, if we saw that, I'm telling you, we'd be honking like crazy, high-fiving and doing everything. That's something you see and you go, okay, now they're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
So Lynda, what are the grand scheme? What is the where is Lynda going in the future? Where are you going to take your books? What do you got planned?
Haircut.
Boy, are they going to be busy, eh?
I think that's probably going to be the first segment of the economy to bounce back.
Yeah, good luck getting an appointment.
Grand scheme of books. So I mentioned that I've been on every 10-kilometer hike and under. I'm writing up second books, and with the success of my first book, I'm really looking to break out into other areas and partner with other people and have some people contribute to the next series of books.
Excellent. Excellent. I can't wait. I can't wait. I think it's going to be bigger than Encyclopedia Britannica when you're done.
Oh, boy, we are aging ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Eh? So if I'm a viewer and I want to get a hold of Lynda and I want to read her book and I want to know what she's doing and I want to partner with her, how do I find Lynda in the big scheme of things?
You can come to my website. There
you
it
mean
is.
The one we put online? There we go.
Green Mountain Family Hikes. And there's a little forum that says, let's talk, connect with me. Same name for my Facebook and for my Instagram. So let's chat. Shoot me a message.
And yes, and just so everyone knows, Lynda is on Facebook and Instagram, and you're able to find her. And what would they be looking when they look for you under 3 Mountain Family Hikes, right, Lynda?
That's exactly it. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'd like to say we could chat some more. We'll have to invite you back because there's a lot more things we need to talk about, Lynda. We need to share this. So we're going to have to let you go. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, and we're gonna do it again, and we got a whole bunch of other out of the box ideas that we're going to be doing, and we're gonna give you a shout and get you in on those, and we're pretty excited. But first of all, I think it's an honor and a privilege to have you on our show, Lynda. Thank you for sharing your insights and your knowledge.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to have to let you go. And then we're just going to close off the show. So thank you, Lynda.
Thank you.
Air 5, everyone. There we go.
All right. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Okay. Take care, Lynda.
Thanks, Lynda.
Thank you.
So awesome. That was
excellent.
Pianosi. And Lynda, again, just so you latecomers out there, Lynda is a Canadian book publisher. She writes the book, Take a Hike with Your Children. She specializes on connecting children with nature through her hikes. She's a big advocate of outdoor education. She's also the owner of 3 Mountain Family Hikes, and she's a very well-respected and certified hiking guide through the Canadian Rockies. And again, to contact Lynda and highly to do it, get a connection. She's a knowledgeable and awesome lady. She knows her stuff. And I'm leaving that website out there right now so you can go and see her now. It's 3mountainfamilyhikes.ca. Look Lynda up, get in touch with her, and let's change the world and let's do what we need to do to make this all pan out. So again, a special thank you to Lynda. And if you noticed, and I think Lynda did, but we did do a nice little background to honor the hiking and touring and guiding industry as we're showing off our cool little background here for our 3 Mountain Family Hikes. Right, Call?
Shows our high budget. I was going to mention with Lynda, don't forget if you're a family and you want to get your kids out, her book is invaluable.
Yes. Yes. So make sure you get her book. 3 Mountain Family Hikes. If you're going anywhere within throwing distance of the Canadian Rockies, this is the book to get.
Yeah, for sure. Tell you where to go, tell you what to do with your kids, and you can be more prepared and feel safer and confident bringing them out into the wilderness.
You know what I like about her books too is I love her cool little icons. Those are all her own doing, are those cool little icons.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So now we're going to just kick off the end of the show here. We got people and we pretty much talked a whole bunch. So everyone's saying, thank you, Lynda. Where can we find the book, Randy's asking. So Randy, what you need to do is 3mountainfamilyhikes.ca. You get a hold of her. It's you can find it through a lot of retail outlets throughout the Canadian Rocky Mountains. And if you want a copy, you can order it online. Again, 3mountainfamilyhikes.ca. And again, people are saying hi and thank you to Lynda. I thought Lynda banged it out of the park. We had a little bit of a rough beginning, but you know, I don't know what the big deal is. I love live. I love these little hiccups. And I think it's like, it's fun. It's fun. Like, okay, right? Where we've got to go through it. That's why we're Canadians, because we don't get in a huff about little things like that. So kudos to Lynda for handling it well. And I just think it was awesome.
You forgot to mention that you can find link to Lynda's site on ehCanadaTravel.com.
Well, that was actually in shameless plugs.
That's what I mean. Like, you know, oh, it's in there. Oh,
yeah, well, you go with it. Tell everybody.
I jumped.
Tell them
well,
again.
Of course,
Tell
you
them
can
again.
find Lynda and many other resources information on ehCanadaTravel.com to plan your hikes and plan your adventures to parks throughout Canada.
Yeah. Lynda has her. You can also get a link on, if you go to Alberta on our site, like Colin said, click on the link, you go directly to her site, and boom, you're in, you're out, you're ordered the book, gone, wait for it in the mail, plan your hike, and then when this COVID thing's over, head over to Lynda's backyard and let her show you the parks and trails through her book. So the other thing with ehCanadaTravel.com, it is the best site privately run in Canada. I'm a little biased, but I'm going there, Cole. I'm saying
just a little.
Just a little. One of the things with our site is the first interactive site. You can become an adventure ambassador for ehCanada Travel. You come to ehCanada Travel, you sign up, fill out the form, and you can become a Canadian adventure ambassador. And with that, you can provide good quality content, hikes, trails, lakes, rivers, anything out there that's Canadian. And with every piece of content you do provide, Colin, you get the credit. It's a great way to create content on the internet. It's a great way to point travelers to your business. Yes, Colin?
Not just to your business, but to your region. Like we talked
go.
before, with communities getting together, you're promoting your region by promoting your stories and adventures, and it all helps to bring people back to your area and promote the local tourism.
Yep. Secondly is join our family. We are a tourism adventure family. We have many tools that we've developed, Colin has developed, and we have many tools that are economical. We're not taking 15% out of your pocket for every booking, and you know how I feel about that. I think it's terrible, that 15% leaving Canada, never coming back, never promoting tourism. When you do advertise with ehCanadaTravel.com, you have our word. Every penny you advertise with us goes right back into Canadian tourism, goes right back into small and rural communities, goes right back into supporting the frontline tourism businesses. So make sure we don't charge a heck of a lot. We give you a heck of a bang for your buck, and it's the best deal out there. And it's ehCanadaTravel.com. So bring your business on over, join our little club, our little family, our little group, and just watch what happens with all the interaction and all the partnerships and the support that we give each other. The other little shameless plug is, of course, our Experience Community Program. Just a big little announcement here. Our pilot project in Merritt, British Columbia. Shout out to all our viewers in Merritt, British Columbia. You rock. Thanks for the support. And the next thing what we got to look for is the Experience Community. There's 4 new bloggers joined. Call.
Wow, that's impressive. Excellent.
So everyone's cutting back, but this program we've actually gained 4 new storytellers because it works. Secondly, we just introduced another tool and put it into the toolbox. And in that toolbox, what you're going to see is they're able now to run their interviews. So while businesses are in self-isolation, worried, our group, the Experience Nickel Valley group, is going to go out there, get them, talk to them, put them in front of the public, and reconnect. So kudos to them. Yes. And kudos to everyone who is involved with our program. You guys are a top-notch team, and we love having you.
Yes.
Okay. Next week, Colin, we have Merv is coming.
Merv. Exciting. Can't wait to have Merv on.
Merv is a campground advocate. He's going to give us the perspective, just like Lynda did today. And Linda's giving us a little shout out before she goes. Hey, guys, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for having me on. Lynda, you're coming back. You're coming back. And first, Merv is next week, campground advocate. Merv is the owner of Canyon Creek Campground, one of our favorite campgrounds in Canada.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think the big thing with Canyon Creek Campground is, 1, it's clean, it's beautiful, and it's not a sardine can. And 2, the hosts.
This is the host. The host should be 1.
Yeah.
The hosts make the site there, amazing. The campground is beautiful and very unique and spacious.
Yep.
But the hosts make it.
Yep.
Merv and Kim knock it out of the park.
Yep. And we've always said that you can go to the best place in the world, but if the host sucks, it's a shitty vacation. Yeah. But you go to some place where the host rocks it and is a people person and go out of the way. That is what makes it. And this is a Merv and Kim show next week where Merv will be joining us. Merv and Kim are one of those and type of those people. And Merv is also a BC Campground and Lodging Association member. So Merv knows his stuff when we talk campgrounds. And campgrounds are one of those services that are slowly opening up. So it'll be good to have him on next week because he knows the ins and outs of the industry, right?
They're actually one of the, like as far as tracking booking requests through our site, I see that they are very busy actually getting bookings and people, because that's the first step is people getting out there camping.
Yep. And look at this, Christine, she stayed there too.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, she's a Merv and Kim. She's part of the Merv and Kim fan club.
It's a small world and a small country.
Exactly. Well, I think that's coming to the end of another episode 6 of our great little show. I'm glad you all join us. We sure love seeing you guys every week. We love sharing with you all the information we know. We love introducing to our sphere of influence, our special people in our tourism world, which expands beyond Canada. And we have some really impressive guests coming down the pipe. We are booked for 2 months solid down the pipe. So we have some people from around the world that will join us. But like every show, Colin, before we say goodbye, before we do our show, we finish it with an isolation vacation. You know, Colin, the isolation vacation, before we say bye to everyone, I just want you to let them a little bit of people know. We're talking Dempster Highway.
Awesome. That was an awesome trip.
That was, when we were doing this, you said that one of your favorite photos was me showing off my brawn and muscle on the Arctic Circle.
Hanging up on top of the Arctic Circle sign. Yeah, I don't know if that's entirely legal, but
yeah,
I'm sure it is. But it's one of the best pictures for sure.
I think the brawn and muscle part, I might have stretched it a bit too. I don't believe you said that.
And the wildlife, well, I missed that, sorry. But the wildlife we saw on that trip was uncomparable.
Remember the bears, eh?
Oh, the best sighting ever.
Yeah. What do you like? Do you like the black bear or did you like the brown bear or the grizzlies?
The mother and the cubs. I mean, that was the highlight for me because as we were driving along, they came out in front of us and was there 3 cubs, I think?
Yeah.
And we saw the mother and we stopped and slowed down and stopped. And then you see the cubs following and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to say bye and remember, play safe, stay positive, and play later on the ehCanadaTravel.com website. We have an 18,000 page website, 6,000 parks, trails, rivers, and lakes, over 1,000 different small and rural and urban communities. We are loaded of information. And then once you've decided where you're going and what you're going to do, join as an ambassador, contribute some information, plug some traffic your way, and then make sure you book with somebody who is advertising on our site. Because remember, that money stays in Canada, goes back into the system. Those are the ones you want to book with. And I will be upfront. The clients on our site, they're good people. They're hardworking people. And these are the tourism businesses on the front line that we love and dear and care about. And we definitely want to support them. And we want you, our viewers, which is growing exponentially with the viewing, to go in and look them up. Now, if you aren't advertising in and you go in your community, you're not advertising, what are you waiting for? Click that sign up button and get on the horse and join the brothers and all our friends and family out there. Sir Colin?
Plus, by booking with us, we don't actually take the bookings. We direct you to our members to book with them personally. So you're actually going to get probably the best rate you'll get than anywhere else because there is no commission charged on top. So it's direct with the owner booking and you get the best rate, talk to them in person, and you can't go wrong.
I agree. So bye for now from the brothers. It's been a blast, and we're going to leave you with a little collage of one of our favorite highways called the Dempster. And Call, you want to say bye? Because I'm saying bye, and I'm clicking you out.
Bye. Mm.